success leaves clues. And so I find somebody who I'm like, I would like to, like, I look up to this person.
Yeah.
And you know, there's different gardens of life. So maybe I don't admire how they carry their physique.
Right,
You know,
right.
like they're a bad example in that. However, how they run their business, they are really, really effective in that. Or
Yeah.
these people parent their children like I want to parent my children.
Right,
Or this
right.
person treats his wife, dates his wife
Yeah.
all the time. Is
Yeah.
always they're growing their relationship.
Yeah.
So finding these people in their gardens, they are really good. Going to them and saying, because oftentimes, like Michael Jordan is probably not very good at coaching people.
Okay.
And if you want to become Michael Jordan, you don't go to Michael Jordan.
You go to
You
his
go to
coach.
Michael Jordan's coach.
Coach, right.
It's all good. Get paid.
Welcome to the Deals and Aloha Podcast, where we talk about real estate deals, hope to leave a lasting impression on our audience, and of course, spread aloha.
Yeah.
You can find us on all social media platforms at Kamohai and Tristan. And let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
So happy you're here, friend.
Yeah, thank you for
I
having me.
know.
I appreciate it very much.
Let's just jump right in.
Okay, I'm ready.
How did you get into real estate?
Yeah, so I got started very similar to, I think, most real estate investors, with a very special book. And so I was active duty in the Marine Corps. And prior to the Marine Corps, I grew up super, super poor. We never had a lot of money. So when I got into the Marine Corps, even as a low-level enlisted guy, I was making more money than I've ever made before. And so I was like, I need to become fiscally responsible. I don't know anything about money, and I want to make sure that I'm not just like blowing this stuff. And you know, the Marine Corps does a decent job teaching you, like, hey, don't go buy a Corvette, please. You know, like, don't,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
22% interest rates outside the gate, don't fall for them.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, all right, there's a lot of traps. I have to make sure that I'm not stepping on these
Yeah,
traps.
yeah.
So I was reading some of these books, trying to become financially responsible. And so my squad leader noticed that. And he was like, hey, Keith, I noticed that you're reading these books. Like, first, good on you, because a lot of Marines, they don't read. So first, that's impressive. And second, I just read this book that changed my entire philosophy on money. And I was like, all right, give it to me.
Yeah.
So Rich Dad Poor, he bought the book for me. Rich
Yeah.
Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
And I don't like reading through books, but I read through that whole entire book. And honest to God, I cheated all through high school. I never finished any of the books.
Hey, same.
I cliff noted
Yep.
and spark noted, and I had friends help me with I just copied their,
Yep.
you know, how you have to show your work.
Book
Right.
So I showed my work on all my math and
Yeah.
everything. I cheated all the way through high school. And
Yeah.
honest to God, I believe that Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of the first books that I had actually read cover to cover.
And wanted to, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nobody was forcing me to do it. And so I read it, and I was like, my whole life is a lie. Everything that I've known up to this point is wrong. Conventional
Yep.
wisdom
Of thinking.
go to school and go to college,
Get a
your
good job.
Yep. And stay in the corporate world is
Trash. Rubbish.
yes.
Just
It's a lie.
And so I read that book, and I was like, all right, I really like this author. What's his next best book? And so actually my favorite book by Robert Kiyosaki is Unfair Advantage. I believe that book is actually better than Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Really?
Wow.
You should read Rich Dad Poor Dad sequentially. It comes first
Okay.
to frame your
Right.
mentality.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I believe that Unfair Advantage is a better, well-written book
Okay.
conceptually. And so
Okay.
I read that one, and I was like, all right, so real estate is way too hard. So he talks about two things, stocks and real estate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was like, real estate's way too hard. I don't want to have to get my license. And so I just jumped straight into YouTube University, got a couple degrees from them
There you go.
on trading stock. I mean, I watched thousands of hours of videos over the course of a year on how to trade penny stocks.
Wow.
Okay.
And I didn't have much money. I think I had
Wolf
like
of
maybe
Wall Street over
yeah. I had saved up like maybe $6,000 or $8,000, and I was trading penny stocks. Like literally, I was in the Marine Corps with my phone on my desk in a class. Like, oh my God, I have to buy.
That's so funny.
I need to sell.
Yeah.
And so all day long, like I was all consuming, and arguably I was really successful at this penny stocks. I was trading things that were worth far less than a penny, like
Yeah.
0.0014.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 You know, and making huge plays. And as a 19-year-old, I was doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Trading
That's so
these,
cool.
These penny stocks.
I'm sure no other 19-year-olds were doing that.
And not in the Marine Corps, at least.
yeah.
But unfortunately, I had all of my eggs in one basket. There was one, like a medical technology company that I super liked. I believed in what they were doing and everything. And they weren't really well publicized. And so all of a sudden, quite literally overnight, I woke up, you know, and I started with this much money. I had like 8 or 9x'd my money over the course of a year. I was doing really well. I'm super excited. I'm like telling all my friends, I'm a freaking rock star, you know?
Yep.
And then overnight, I see that I'm back down to where I was more than a year ago. I'm like, how? Like
Yeah.
there's an issue with my app.
Right.
I'm calling.
Refresh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Log out, log in, and it still said the same thing. And I was like crushed. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What do I do? Like, I know that if I realize my losses by selling, okay, I'm just gonna hold on. Actually, I'm gonna buy more. So I put in the rest of my. I think I saved like $1,000 or $2,000. I put in the rest of me and Miranda's emergency savings into this penny stock. And over the next week, I watched it fall until it got to 0.
Oh my
No way.
gosh.
And I was like, this is not possible.
Yeah.
A penny stock can't possibly fall less
Than
Than a
a
penny.
penny.
It's already like
And
0.00,
less,
you know?
yes.
Yeah.
And
It's
so-
already nothing.
And I saw 0. So I was trading through this platform. I called them up and I have a concern. Like, this is not real. And they're like, we'll reach out to you within the next 2 weeks. I got a notice in the mail. If you'd like to show up to court in Texas, this company has declared bankruptcy.
Oh my gosh.
And so after digging into it, the CEO, and he was the main dude, he had a heart attack. That's what caused.
Oh wow.
Wow.
And then like 3 days later, he died. And so that's what caused the rest of the.
Dude, down
So
to 0.
His wife inherited the business. She didn't know what to do with it.
Yep.
Everybody bailed.
Wow.
I was like one of the last people to not sell. I did not sell.
Dude.
And so I lost absolutely everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything that I put in, like my actual money as well as all my gains.
Right.
And I was like, all right, stocks are dumb. I'm out. Skip.
Yeah, never
I've
again.
got to get into real estate.
Okay.
And so I literally made that decision. And then the same guy who gave me Rich Dad Poor Dad tags me in a post the very next day. And he doesn't use Facebook. I don't use Facebook. And he tagged me in a post. And I was like, all right, this is like God's trying to talk to me.
This is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
universe
Yeah.
telling me
Yeah,
something.
totally.
Yeah.
And it was the Fortune Builder free 1-day event.
Oh
right?
wow.
And so
The 1 hour and then the 3 hour and then the
Exactly.
3
Yeah.
days.
And so I went to that one and I was like, all right, this is legit. Like I learned a lot. I took like 3 pages of notes. I still have them.
Me too.
And so then of course you buy the 3-day tickets. They're like $200.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I brought Miranda and I was like, this is fantastic. This is really, really good information. And so, but I told her like, hey, this is a 3-day event. On day 2 or day 3, they're going to pitch us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
when they do,
We have to
Do
say
not-
no. No. That
You
was
knew
him.
it. You knew it going in already.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So you're
Do
setting the
not-
expectation.
exactly,
Yeah.
do not let me sign up.
Yeah.
And then we go through on day 2 and they start making their pitch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then on day 3, I'm like, all right, I have to have this. And so when you're young, you know, you don't have a credit score.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the last 3 years, I had been working on my credit score. It was like 530, I believe, when I joined the Marine Corps. Terrible, right? Non-existent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten it up to 800.
That's
Oh, wow.
amazing.
Perfect credit score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just a couple weeks prior, we found out that we were pregnant.
Oh.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, this is fantastic. I'm going to go buy a house in Virginia. I was stationed in Quantico near
Okay.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, we're going to buy a house. Like, this is awesome. So we're going house shopping. We're looking at all these places. And then we go to this Fortune Builder event. And I have all these credit cards with no money on them,
Yeah.
right? I was just using
Building
and
it
then
up,
paying it
yeah.
off, using
Right,
it, paying it
right.
off. And so we had a lot
Of credit.
of credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we go there and I was like, well, it's this or a house.
Our house.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Yeah.
And Miranda was like, all right, I'll support you. You
Yeah.
know?
Wow, that's
That
so
was
cool.
me. I was like, all in, just swipe the card. He's
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? No.
How did you convince her after telling her, do not let me do this?
You know, I didn't have to do anything. I
She's
just
the
let
best
Fortune
sup-
Builders do it.
Oh, yeah. So she was,
They have
she was
the
on
best-
board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got the best like sales
They really do.
program. They have it nailed down. Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
so we signed up, and then starting from there, that was like the start of my chasing shiny objects.
Yeah.
You know, so I joined that, and then the next month I joined Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Coaching,
Nice.
Okay.
and then like 2 months later we got Grant Cardone's sales training.
Okay.
And then right after that, we got John Martinez's sales training.
Wow.
And then right after
Wow,
that,
you did it all.
yeah. So collectively, I have 29 different programs
I mean,
Dude, that's crazy.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
that we've signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the next several years, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of doing all these programs.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's how I got.
Dude,
That's how
so
you got
cool.
into real estate.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, our journeys are pretty similar as far as like the fortune builders and just
The next program, we did definitely not 29 programs, but
Yeah.
But being firm believers in education, I can see how that only helps your situation and your knowledge base and
Yep.
experience and
Yep.
all of that. And that probably shortened your
All of
learning
them,
curve.
I won't say that any of them were a waste of my money.
Yeah.
I do. That is one of my large regrets, is like stuck in analysis paralysis. You don't have to know it all to get started. Like taking massive imperfect action is better than taking no action. And so
100%.
going back, you know, like I regret not taking more action. However, I do believe that each one of those softwares, each one of these programs, courses, seminars, webinars that I went to, they all gave me at least one nugget that I have used to make that money back.
Yeah.
But I was definitely in the red for
A
4
while.
years
Yeah.
of our business.
yeah.
It's been like
So, I mean, you're in all these programs. You're a young man in the military as well.
Yep.
You're going to have a baby.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna have a baby. So, were you, while you're learning all this stuff, were you taking action immediately, or was it a lot of education and no action? I know you just mentioned analysis paralysis. So, how did that look?
At the time, I thought that I was taking a lot of action, but it's kind of like when you're a level 1 person, a level 2 problem is rather overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when you're 3 years old, brushing your teeth is a difficult task
Yeah.
because you're not to call my kids low level people, but like you're
Yeah.
a low level person,
Yeah.
and so these problems are kind of big.
Big,
They're a
yeah.
big deal. And so what I thought I was doing huge back then, like dropping $7,000 on direct mail, and it wasn't like the greatest. I came up with the ad copy. I came up with the follow up sequences,
Yeah,
and it wasn't like great. And I thought that like, hey, I'm going out on a limb, and then going back, I'm like, man, that's embarrassing. Like what I did was not great.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I thought that what I was doing was action,
Mm-hmm.
but really, I mean, we were spending almost all of our time going through the courses, and these courses are, think about Fortune.
Yeah.
They're
Big.
robust.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It takes you like 6
Hefty.
months to get through
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And really, what I should have done is like go through this module. No.
Do the action.
Put that into action.
Yeah.
Put that into practice.
Yeah.
Then do this module. You do not have to know how to create a scope of work and hire contractors and go through your 6 critical docs when you haven't even sent out your first marketing campaign.
Yeah, totally.
You don't have a deal to write a scope of work on.
Yeah. And so we went through all of this stuff, and we spent a lot of time. I was getting home often maybe 5:30 or so, and me and Miranda, prior to having kids, 5:30 to 10:30. Grant Cardone at 1.75x speed,
Yeah.
just sitting down on the floor at the couch like, oh, he's
Yeah.
going so fast, he's going so fast.
Yeah, he does.
Writing notes, And so most admittedly, most of our time was spent doing the education and not taking action on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah.
And when we look back on it, we suffered from that our first couple years as well.
Oh, totally. And we were in the red as well.
But
I
I
feel
think
like
it's
a lot of Fortune Builder students are in the same boat.
Every
Yeah.
one of them.
But
Yeah.
to harp on that, and you brought it up because you're looking back now and you realize that how you should have mapped that out.
Yep.
You don't have to know everything. I think if we can get one
Dude,
thing out of this
that's so
podcast,
critical.
Yeah.
you do not need to know everything, nor will you know everything.
Ever.
Right?
No matter what.
Ever.
Years later, I still have
Yeah.
no idea what I'm doing.
Right?
Same.
We're
But
just treading water, and we have floaties, so we're good.
exactly. So daily, imperfect, consistent action.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's literally all it takes to have success.
And always do more than you think that you
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I love that.
true. Yeah,
That's so cool.
Always be kind of pushing yourself. But I love that because I'm such a huge proponent of education.
Yeah.
And a goal of ours this year is to do education or seminars or whatever it is, at least once a quarter.
Yes.
So you basically did them all. And like,
Yeah.
you just
and
fast
I mean,
tracked
we
it.
still do it, but it was all like real estate. And honestly, I don't think that most people in real estate need to be training on real estate.
Yeah.
I think that they need to be training on mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so getting it, like right now I have a neuro-linguistic programming coach. NLP is like, God, if I had started with NLP,
With that?
Mm-hmm.
I would have shed all of the, not all, I don't think that you'll ever be perfect.
Right.
But you'll shed a lot of these self-limiting beliefs. The glass ceiling
Right.
may not disappear, but it will at least move way
Well, you'd be
up.
so much more disciplined.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And then, like you said, all of those negative self-limiting beliefs would be almost little to none.
Yep.
And you'd probably be so much more farther along
Yep.
Yeah.
in such a quicker amount of time. It's
Yeah.
insane.
You get out of life not what you want out of life, but what you expect out of life.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I'm going through this and I'm working, I have a life coach, I have this NLP trainer, I have a business coach. Like that's the sort of stuff, in my opinion, this is all framing your mindset.
Yeah.
When you frame your mindset, when you start anything with a good mindset, you're going to succeed in that. Whereas if you start with the nitty-gritty minutia of the day-to-day grind, you're almost going to fail.
Yeah,
You're
the
almost-
mindset's going to stop you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
anyway.
So
Yeah, that's so
this
cool.
is a little pivot because I'm just curious. Where are you finding all of these coaches? Like you said, a life coach. Where
All of them are referrals now
Okay.
at this point. So success leaves clues.
Mm.
And so I find somebody who I'm like, I would like to, like, I look up to this person.
Yeah.
And there's different gardens of life. So maybe I don't admire how they carry their physique.
Right,
Like
right.
they're a bad example in that.
Mm-hmm.
However, how they run their business, they are really, really effective in that. Or
Yeah.
these people parent their children like I want to parent my
Right,
children. Or this
right.
person treats dates his wife
Yeah.
all the time. Is
Yeah.
always, they're growing their relationship.
Yeah.
So finding these people in their gardens, they are really good,
Mm-hmm.
going to them and saying, because oftentimes, like Michael Jordan is probably not very good at coaching people.
Okay.
And if you want to become Michael Jordan, you don't go to Michael Jordan.
You go to
You
his
go to
coach.
Michael Jordan's
Coach. Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go to that person. Where did you
Learn that.
learn these tools
Mm-hmm.
to become you? I would like to become more like you. And so then hey, you should check
This
person.
guy
out.
out. They refer you out.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need your.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk
Refer-
off.
I'll give it
We're gonna have to
referrals,
talk offline for all these coaches.
I
but
know.
yeah,
I feel like if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's important, and I think this year, we did Fortune Builders, and then we did Paste Morby, and it's like last year was all application, and now I want to start growing again.
Good.
Yeah.
So
I feel like you almost have to do that. You
Yeah.
have these giant growth spurts,
Yeah.
and then you have to solidify the foundation,
yeah,
and then do it again.
do it
Yeah,
again.
that's
Yeah.
how it
It's
should
like building a
constantly-
pyramid.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
And sometimes you have to go. We talk about brilliance in the basics in the Marine Corps a lot of the time. So I take this pyramid analogy quite literally, and it's like, okay, I've gotten, now I'm on the 9th level of the pyramid, but my foundation needs to be bigger in order for me to get to level 10.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's solidify money basics. Like let's go back and study
Refresher.
P&Ls.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's look at my balance sheet.
Mm-hmm.
How can I refine my financial literacy? Okay,
Yeah.
bigger base that we can now
Yeah.
move on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
That's
that
so
so
cool.
much. Okay, so it's funny that you just before we continue, I'm listening to Grant Cardone's book right now, and he said, millionaires and billionaires and successful people in general are always learning and they're always growing and they're always reading.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter, and this is why you said the garden thing, and you take one thing from that. You don't have to like everything, but you approach everything by like, how am I going to make $1 million from that? You know
Yes.
what? You don't have to grasp 100 of the things,
Nope.
just one of them.
Yep.
And then that's how you can apply,
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so REI, right?
Yeah.
You got into REI, but why? Like, why are you so passionate about it? How has it changed your life?
Yeah. So talking about self-limiting beliefs, Tony Robbins talks about we have pain and pleasure. We often run away from pain and we run towards pleasure. And typically, we run away from pain faster than we run towards pleasure.
Okay.
So admittedly, that's where I still am. My childhood growing up was horrible. And I would venture to say that I was in the lower like 5th percentile of American children.
Okay.
And I never want to experience. I never want my kids to have to go steal from the construction site their particle board so that they can burn it in their wood stove. I don't want them having to pull out coats from the lost and found that they've checked every day for the last 3 weeks to make sure that that kid isn't going to pick his coat up, because I would feel bad.
Yeah.
And then taking that coat because it fits.
Wow.
Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
And so admittedly, I'm still in that place where I'm running away from the pain, the fear of not failure, because I fail on a daily basis multiple times,
100%.
but the fear of being poor or just feeling like I'm poor, because I'm not poor.
Yeah.
But the fear is what drives me the most. Of I just don't want my kids to have to experience the things and to have to ask for what I asked for in order to just cover the basic essentials.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the real reason. You know, I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, and I was like, everyone that I grew up with lives the same way. They live in trailers. They live in fifth wheels that have freaking tarps on the top.
Yeah.
Duct taping their dang tailgates. You know, like that. I'm not saying that that's a bad way to live. That's just not how I want to live anymore.
Right.
And so that he showed me that what I had known up to that point to be, quote, true was not the full picture. There's this whole other side to life. Guess what, Keith? People don't live like this everywhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want something more than that.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like you just
That's the big
change
reason.
the lens, you know?
Yes, exactly. New paradigm that you can see everything.
Yeah.
Not everything, but
And real estate was an avenue to get you to this
Yes.
whole other world that you
Yep.
didn't know existed
admittedly, I don't love real estate. And I think a lot of people in real estate don't love real estate.
Right.
There's a lot of people who, they have an eye for design.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
Or haven't, I love negotiation. I like negotiation, and I'm really good at it. And I don't know what book I'm talking about, but there's 4 quadrants of things that you like and don't like, and things that you're good at and are not good at.
Yeah.
And this is like quadrant 2 for me. Like, this is a good place for me to be in my business. However, it's my zone of excellence and not my zone of genius. I need to be operating in my zone of genius, which is quadrant 1. And sales and negotiation is great. I'm good at it. I can make money doing that. However, it doesn't give me a sense of purpose.
Right.
And so operating in my zone of genius is where I'd like to be. Real estate is nothing more than an avenue to make enough money so that I can now be doing this. And you can
Totally.
gain a lot of wealth, and I can still fill my cup. I can still have purpose by giving back, by helping others. You know,
Right.
like, hey, this is what I'm learning. That's what drives me.
Yeah.
This is what I'm learning. I believe that this will really help you in your business,
Right.
and it'll save you from having to drop $250,000 like I did and be in the red
Right.
and go bankrupt. You know,
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
please don't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Totally.
It's
yeah.
a
So
vehicle.
you found your vehicle. That's basically what it is. And that's
Yep.
what we're looking for, right? We don't.
Yeah. Well, it's the 7 layers of why thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then that's just
Peel the onion.
yes, and it's just a vehicle, but it's like, okay, but why,
Yep.
why, and get to the real reason, the foundation, and then real estate just allows you to get there quicker.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like stepping on that thing at the airport. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Totally.
Here's the rails, if
Yeah.
you will.
You can
And
walk.
You can walk if you want.
Yeah.
I don't want to walk.
Or you can continue to walk and go faster.
And go faster. Yeah. That's so cool.
That's such a genius
Yeah,
analogy.
it's a super good
We have
analogy.
to find out what that thing is called.
I mean, it's what are those?
It's a horizontal escalator.
Yeah, it's like an escalator that doesn't go up.
It's a moving walkway.
Yeah.
There you
I'm
go.
pretty sure that's what
Moving
they call it.
walkway.
That's so good.
Nice. Okay, so you are getting educated. You're starting to take some action.
Yeah.
When do you get your first deal?
Yeah.
It was 9-ish months
Okay.
afterwards. So when I signed up for Fortune Builders that day, one of the ladies from our church, she was a realtor
Okay.
and also an investor and was in Fortune Builders.
Oh.
Okay.
And so she was like, all right, when you get to day 3, if you decide to change your mind and sign up with them, because I told her I'm not joining this.
Okay.
if you decide to change your mind and go with them, just step out, use the restroom, because the guy is right there. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Where are you going?
yeah. I just need to use the restroom
Yeah.
and call me.
Oh, nice.
And so she ended up being a business partner with us, and she was a realtor. So we're getting kind of the realtor leads as well, pocket listings and stuff. And I was funding the direct mail campaigns and the ringless voicemails and the text blasting. Those are the only 3 that we were doing. Really heavy with direct mail when we were in Virginia. And so we were doing a lot of the direct mail, and because I was funding it, she was like, "Hey, I have this pocket listing. I think I want to take it down. Like, this is a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're interested in helping me do this, like, she's an awesome realtor. So she's super, super busy already. She's like, if you're interested in helping me out, then we'll take it down. We'll take title to it and we'll do the deal." And I was like, yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
let's go.
Yeah.
Especially when I saw the numbers that she
wow.
It was a short sale.
Okay.
And she had negotiated with a bank for 14 months
Wow.
in order to get this property under contract.
That's crazy.
She had it under contract. I forget the exact numbers, but I think it was like $80,000. And it needed some pretty good work, like about $80,000 of work. So
Okay.
all in at 160, maybe with all your holding costs, closer to 180, 185 or so. But we could sell it for like 320.
Nice.
And so I'm like, yeah, man, I'm all in. Like, this is a 6-figure paycheck.
Yeah.
My first deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Holy smokes, I'd be dumb to say no.
Yeah.
So I was like, absolutely, I'm in. Yes, say yes and figure it out later, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we did.
Yeah.
And well, anyway, that 6-figure deal was supposed to take like 7 months.
Okay.
It ended up taking more than a year and a half for us to
Wow.
finish.
Okay.
We had every issue known to man. We were gonna pop the top, and then the I don't know what the dude is called. The dude that tests the soil to see if the soil can handle that weight. that
Right,
you're gonna
right.
put. He comes out after we have everything, the scope of work, the contractors, the engineers. We totally put the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
He comes out, tests the soil. The
just
soil's
cannot.
not dense enough. It can't. Your house will collapse. Your foundation will fail.
Right.
So you have 2 options. Don't do that, or jack up the house and redo a foundation. I'm like, I didn't even know it was possible. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
let's
Yeah.
not go that route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we decided not to pop the top and just add on a master suite to the end. So
Okay.
big, giant bed, bath, walk-in closet. It was going to be gorgeous. And so then the soil was dense enough to do that. We just made sure. And so we changed everything that we were going to do. Now we're, 5 months into holding this deal. Nothing's started. We had to totally change everything, totally change game of plans. And now we were getting plans drawn up and stuff like this. And so at the time, I was in the Netherlands. The Marine Corps was sending me around to do tours, right? And I had also gotten orders going from Quantico out here to Kaneohe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish up this.
Yeah,
How am I gonna
totally.
do this? Yeah.
And so, like I said, I think it was going to take about 7 months. It ended up taking about a year and a half. And we did as much as we could while we were there. We moved out here, and our business partner actually finished it for us while we were out there. That same realtor.
Right.
She finished it for us. And we just messed everything up that you could have messed up. Pulling the wrong permit, not getting permits, and then when we did get permits, getting the wrong permits, then hiring the wrong people. They walked from the job. You're chasing after them because you already put down $10,000 and now they don't want to give it back. And you have to hire another contractor, but then you don't have enough money, so then you have to raise more money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, it was a great learning experience, but it was rather stressful. Like, this whole time, I'm like, dang, I did not know what I signed up for.
Yeah.
This is
It's
crazy.
not supposed to be this hard.
I know. TV lies.
Yeah. They do lie. We had the same realization, so
We
we
had
feel you
the-
100% on the first one.
Oh my gosh. Our first one it didn't take that long, but everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong.
Yeah.
100%.
And we took cracks. Like, talking about like getting knocked out, then kicked in the stomach while you're already down.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like we can relate. But we always go back to that, and we wouldn't have changed it for the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
We
at
learned,
all.
the amount of the lessons that we learned truly helped us get to where we're at today.
It builds, we were talking earlier before the podcast, good business principles.
Exactly.
It forces you to change your SOP, if you will,
Yeah.
so that this will never happen again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we always say, like, if you did make that 6 figures on your first deal, you would think all deals are supposed
Unrealistic
to
Right, right,
expectations.
right.
from the
Super.
get-go.
And I hear that happen a lot of
Yes.
times too
Yep.
with people. And then they oftentimes will get themselves into such a big problem that they can't climb out of it.
Yep.
And you
Right.
never want your first deal to be your last deal.
Right.
But
Never want any deal.
dude, never any deal. Yeah. But there were some long nights up with
Yeah.
Tristan and I just sitting there, tears.
freaking out.
Like,
what the hell
what
are
did we get
doing?
into?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
We
But
borrowed extra money. How are we negative?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. There's so much, man. So much.
Yeah.
But like I said, we wouldn't have changed it for the world because we got a master's degree, right, in fix and flip on your
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you do win, it's like, okay, it's because I learned all this,
Yep.
and I don't have to make it again. So did you lose all your money?
No. But what was supposed to be like more than a 6-figure flip, split between,
Yeah.
The partners.
two of
Yep.
us.
Yep.
I ended up at the end of the day, I did get a check
Okay.
for $2,000.
Dude, what a win! Oh my gosh, what a win though!
So I have expensive taste in learning.
There you
because
go.
Boy, did I spend a lot of money on those experiences here.
Dude.
But we learned a lot.
yeah.
And I learned really quickly that I don't know everything. Like I said, I had gone through all of these modules
Totally.
and still screwed up.
Yeah.
I'm just here to tell you, like, you're never gonna know it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Say yes
Totally.
and figure it out later.
You
Yeah,
learn.
big
You
time.
learn by doing, really.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you have your floaties. You reach out to your community. You reach out to people.
Yeah.
You
And that's
ask
what
the
those
questions.
educational platforms offer, right? Is that
Community.
right? The community being able to reach out to a
Yeah.
mentor, or when you run into a problem, but you can't learn everything from those modules,
Nope,
right? You're
absolutely
only
not.
gonna learn it when you're in the flip
Yeah.
and something comes up.
Yep.
Well, it's so true. When we need a piece of information, that's the only time we would truly retain it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is when you're actually in a situation where you need an answer right then
Yep.
and there.
Yep.
Because you could have learned it 6 months ago, but it wasn't applicable to you then.
No.
Yeah.
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 Admittedly, I went back last year. So we've been in Fortune Builders for 6 years now. And I went back and I had to review the 6 critical documents and
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
to build a scope of work because
Yeah.
I had never truly done one up until this deal last
Right.
year.
Yeah.
Right. When you
But
come
that's when
across
I
it.
needed it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's when I learned
hate
it.
scope of work. It's such a saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not fun.
I'm really good at them. They just take me like 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're so critical. They
Yeah.
are.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that was your first deal. Let's
Yeah.
just pivot and then we can kind of backtrack a little bit to your last deal that you just did. The last deal you did.
Okay. Last deal purchased or last deal sold?
Let's do last deal sold.
Yeah.
Some person went to my website and just called my number.
Oh, they didn't fill out a web form.
Didn't fill out a web form.
Okay.
They also didn't leave a voicemail, nor did they send they just expected me to pick up, and since I didn't pick up, like, they're not talking to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this person, they went to, this is actually a Hawaii deal.
Okay.
Okay.
They went to every single website on the first page of Google. So that's at least 10 results.
Yeah.
And they went to every single person's phone number, gave them one attempt. I don't know, like,
Yeah,
what
that's
this person
crazy.
was expecting, but
Right.
they gave everybody an attempt. If there was a phone number, he called it. And so I don't pick up most of the time.
Yeah.
And especially when it's that specific business number on that website, a lot of robodials and a lot of spam and a lot of, like, virtual assistant companies
Yeah,
and
totally.
hard money lenders. I just get it all the time.
Yeah.
And so I actually don't even have it come to me. What happens is if I miss the call, which is 100% of the calls that I miss,
Yep.
we've built out automation so that it sends them a text, it sends a ringless voicemail, it follows up with them the second day, it follows up with them the third day, the fifth day, the seventh
Yeah,
day, and they're
yeah.
going on this endless drip. Right?
Right.
I'm so sorry I missed your call. I've been on the phone with sellers all day long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If there's any way that I can help, I buy and sell houses on Hawaii. I'd love to see if I can help you.
Right.
You know? And so he calls all these people. Apparently they don't have this follow-up drip, right?
Yeah.
Because
Well, nobody does. So.
he contacts me like 5 days later. He's like, I've been trying to get in touch with everybody. You're the only person that's actually followed up with me.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, it wasn't actually.
Yeah.
But I talked to this guy, run through the numbers, and it was a condo up on North Shore. And so I'm running through the numbers. I know this is how much it's worth. at the end of the day, this is my ARV, and there's a mortgage on it, and this is how much they want. And this guy didn't own the property. He was roommates with this lady, and this lady was the seller.
Okay.
Got it.
And so the backstory was this lady tried to flip it, put in $30,000 of her own. Mind you, this is a 2-bed, 1-bath, 678 square foot condo.
Okay.
Cute little thing.
How you can spend
30 grand on it. Right.
Yeah.
And it not be totally done.
It gets worse.
Oh gosh.
She goes through the $30,000, and like I didn't check bank statements, but this is what they told me.
Right,
So
right,
she
right.
goes
Yeah.
through $30,000. It's not done, and so she goes to her roommate and says, "Hey, you want to get into real estate? Why don't you help me out with this?" And he has a savings, so he puts in $40,000
Wow.
into this house. And at this point, I'm like, "There's no freaking way."
No.
Like
That's not
somebody.
humanly possible.
No.
Yeah.
Did you put gold in the
I
around
kn-
the ceiling
Okay,
fan?
so I walk into this. Oh, hold on. Let's go back. I'll
Yeah.
tell you the condition later.
Right.
How far they got. But so we get to how much they want for the property, and I'm like, this is outrageous. Like this is
Yeah.
a total waste of my time.
Right.
Yeah.
Go to somebody else. Like
Yeah.
this is not something that I'm not interested. Like here's my numbers. I'm very transparent with
Yeah.
my numbers. Here's my honest to God numbers. Here's my break even point.
Right.
So I'm not willing to lose $80,000. Like I believe in charity, but my for-profit business is not a nonprofit.
Right,
Yeah,
I have to
exactly.
make
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
And so I was like, I'm sorry, like you're gonna have to go find somebody else.
Yeah.
And they're gonna tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
And then you're
Yeah.
gonna come back to me because
Yeah.
I'm nicer.
Right, right, right.
And so he comes back to me. So at the end of the day, they wanted $250,000.
Okay.
And he comes back to me like 4 hours later. Hey, I talked with my roommate. She came down to $200,000. And so that showed the numbers still
Don't work.
don't work.
Didn't
at
work
all.
it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, that showed me like with an unprofessionally trained in sales person, this seller was reasonable within 3 hours, $50,000.
50 grand is,
Yeah.
and it's a that's a good chunk.
Huge chunk.
So
Yeah.
so the numbers didn't work, but it was worth my time. I love reasonable people. I
Yes.
love it when they're like, I don't want to lose money. Freaking neither do I, right?
Right.
So let me show you my numbers.
Yep.
And then at the end of the day, I don't operate how anybody else operates. I don't give offers. I show them my numbers. And
Yep.
I say, here's my break-even point. Now, I operate a little bit different, Mr. Seller. I actually let you determine how much I make on this house. So how much do you feel is fair for me to make, to do this work and to put in,
Take
the
this
time and
risk.
effort and
Yeah.
take this
Right.
risk?
Right.
And then they determine how much I should make, and I say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go through my numbers. She wants $200,000. Go through all of my numbers. Here's my break-even point. Do that exact thing. We're on Zoom at this point.
Okay.
And go through all of these numbers. Here's my break-even point. How much do you feel is fair for me to make to take on this risk? Would $40,000 cut it? And I know that. So the condition of the property was there's no floor,
No.
there's no walls,
What?
there's no cabinets, there's no rough and electric. They took everything out.
They spent 70
Dude.
grand, right?
$70,000.
grand.
Doing what?
Okay, so the funny thing is it was actually like demo work was the majority of it.
Okay.
By the way, I don't believe that it was actually 70.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Maybe
right,
they
right.
added
Yeah,
some
yeah.
numbers here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they shaved off some walls because it's a tiny little cramped 2-bedroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh, we can back off this wall. So as you're rounding the corner, like a bigger dude
Yeah.
can fit.
You don't.
Yeah.
Or in these doors, there's 3 doors all next to each other. Why don't we make them pocket doors
Mm.
so that it takes up less space? So they had great ideas. The dude had watched some flipping shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you-
Just
yeah.
had his priorities
Yeah.
wrong. You
Totally.
should definitely do other things
Yeah.
before doing that.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
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 That's like the cherry on top.
Right. Right. Right.
And so I there's absolutely nothing in this project, and I'm like, I've never flipped a house before. In all honesty,
Yeah.
I'm 4.5 years into my career at this point, and I was in the Marine Corps the whole time. I don't have to. I'm working a 12-hour a day.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps is not a 9 to 5.
No.
Right. Right.
It's
No.
a freaking lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And even when you're home, you bring work home with you.
Yeah.
You're practicing for the next thing. You're
Yeah.
running over a class that you're going to be teaching in a week or whatever.
Yeah.
So you bring work home with you. And I didn't have the time to deal with contractors and change orders and scopes of work and raising a bunch of money. So I just wholesaled up to that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that the condition that this property is in, and I'm like, $40,000 is not going to cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not worth my time.
That's
It's not worth the
my
risk that I'm putting in.
Right.
And knowing the last property that I flipped, I'm not going to make 40.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was like, the numbers are just a little bit tighter
Tight for me, yeah.
than I would want. And so I remember she was like, well, would $60,000 do it? And I was like, all right, so she's reasonable.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
yeah.
she's actually
Yeah.
thinking
And so-
about this.
And so I said no at 60.
Yeah.
And she was like, Keith, like, I'm nearly begging you to take this thing off. Like,
Yeah.
would $80,000 cut it? And so I like run my numbers,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, like
I think I can do it.
the numbers are just a little bit tight.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, that would leave you with X amount, $100,000
Right.
in walk away. That's $100,000 cash.
Yeah.
That's in your bank account.
That's
Right.
And knowing that nobody can live in the house, there's no electric, there's no water,
It's
there's no
not
walls.
It's not a
financeable.
retail sale.
You cannot get
No
conventional
bank
financing.
financing.
This is only going to be cash.
Yeah.
And almost every flipper is going to say, like, I'm not talking about the actual flippers. I'm talking about the people who say that they're cash buyers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not going to take this on because they're typically wholesalers.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I know the realistically, like, I probably am her best option
Yeah.
right
Totally.
now.
Yeah. And she needed help.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so did he. He wanted his money back.
Yeah. He wanted his
Yeah,
money
yeah.
back. Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, let's do the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so signed the purchase and sales agreement. And then like the market was crazy last year,
Yeah, it
right?
was.
Yeah.
And
So you rode the appreciation
rode the
up.
appreciation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We ended up, I think we held it for 4 months. I have all my my KPIs.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Held it for about 4 months. That was the construction. The construction is North Shore. Like it kind of took a little bit longer.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Laid
not-
back.
It's just more chill.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chill.
yeah, you know.
I'll get to it when I get to
Hawaiian
it.
time.
Yeah.
Hey, but for real, no alcohol in the house.
Yeah.
No one to drinking.
Oh no,
Yeah.
or smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it took like 2 months, I think, to finish it, and then we actually pre-sold it. We
Oh, nice.
pre-sold it
So
for
good.
more than I wanted, and it was to a Navy guy.
Yeah.
My contractor was like, "Hey, one of my best friends lived on an island. Like, I want to help him out. He's in the Navy. Like, you'll like him. He's local. I
Yeah.
like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let's get this done." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Like, I'll have,
Yeah.
that's less than what I kind of the same position that you guys.
Right. Well, we're
That's
doing
less
that right
than
now.
what
Yeah.
I
I
think I can
want,
sell it
but-
for,
yeah.
but I'd like to hook this guy up. So I
Yeah.
said yes. We signed it. We got all the way to like a week before closing, and then he was stuck in this weird catch-22 in the Navy where he had orders to leave, but they weren't. But his it was like a year from now.
Oh.
Okay.
But in order for him to get financing through the VA, you have to have 2 years left
Here.
at his duty station.
Oh.
So he's like, I need a place to live. Like, I'm here for a little more than a year, but it's less than 2, so I can't get financed.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's so crazy.
So we
Gosh.
went all the way through a week before closing. He falls out. And I
Oh
was like,
my
that kinda
gosh.
sucks.
Oh man.
We got him a place to rent.
Yeah.
And he was fine.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is a great opportunity to get what I want.
Get
Yeah.
now we can sell it for way more. Yeah. Okay.
So then I was like, well, I think I could get this, and I want to leave some negotiation room. So rather than asking this, I was like, the market's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
Listen,
time.
Yeah.
It got snatched
Right
up.
away.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
And so we closed super fast. It was beautiful. There was nothing wrong with it on the home inspection. Like
Nice.
there was one
Gorgeous.
outlet that wasn't grounded, and I'm like, yeah, we put that on
Okay.
purpose. you know?
I'll fix
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And so we just made a lot of money on
That's
Yeah,
that.
that's
amazing.
so cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
When was
thanks.
that? What month was that? Last year.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was last year.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So that was our last deal that we sold, and I just bought. That was here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And so if you look at a map of the United States, what is the furthest state away from Hawaii? Do you
Dude.
happen to know?
No clue.
Isn't it like somewhere in the East Coast,
Yep.
all the way up, like
Yep.
Vermont or Maine?
Maine.
Maine.
So 2 weeks ago, I closed on my first Maine house.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sub 2, the mortgage and the numbers on that one are fantastic as well. And we're gonna. So we retailed out of this Hawaii one, and all of last year we focused on wholesaling. Now we're
Yeah.
gonna wrap that one, so we're gonna be owner financing out of it.
Congrats,
Yeah,
dude.
thanks.
That is so
It's not done yet. Don't jinx
Yeah.
it.
That's so cool.
Okay, so that's a good caveat
Yeah.
into what strategies are you focused on now?
Yeah. So like I said, while I was in the Marine Corps, it was all wholesales, except for that one
Yeah.
disastrous flip that we did in the beginning.
Yeah.
That kind of turned me off, actually.
Yeah.
That was super stressful. It was too much. A lot of nights, me and Miranda were just stressed out, crying.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This is
Oh, yeah.
terrible. We're going to be bankrupt
Yeah.
before this deal is
Yeah.
done.
I'm going to lose everybody's money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for several years, both while I was in Virginia and moving out here, we only focused on wholesales. But then when I got out of the Marine Corps, actually it was that property. I was like, I no longer have the excuse of
I
the
don't
Marine
have
Corps.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, now I do have the time.
Right.
I'm doing this full time. And it was a wonderful opportunity. Like, I can't screw it up as bad as they did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not going to put in $70,000 and have an empty shell.
Right.
And I get to start from scratch. There's no walls. There's no floors.
It's the best kind.
There's no lights. There's no fixtures. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I had to go back to Fortune Builders.
Do the scope of
Yeah.
Hire-
6
Yeah.
critical
How to
documents.
hire the
Yeah.
contractors.
Yeah, the contractors.
It was
Right.
a great learning experience.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the turn for, what year is it? 2021 for me to switch into wholesale. So all of last year, we just wholesaleed out of everything. Built up some capital. And now this year, we're focusing on wraps. We have 2 properties so far, and I like to just continue getting one property per month. So a lot of people may not be super familiar with wraps.
Yeah, I
so
was
I'll
going to
just
say.
go
For
1
people that don't know what wraps
Yeah,
are, people
what
that don't know
are-
what wholesales are.
What
Yeah.
are wraps,
Oh.
and then explain why you're doing those.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a wrap, so think about you always have an entrance strategy into a property, and then you have an exit strategy into a property. So a wrap means anything that's creative finance.
Yep.
It's not cash. I'm not going in with cash or using a hard money lender or private money lender or anything like that. It means that either there's no mortgage and I'm buying it owner financed, or there is a mortgage and I'm buying it subject to that mortgage, keeping it in place after close.
Yep.
That's my entrance strategy. It's either owner finance or wrap or sub 2, and sometimes even a hybrid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Both of those at the same time.
Yep.
Right.
That's my entrance strategy. And then on the back end, I'm owner financing out of the property. And so what that does, like, let me just tell you the numbers on the property that
Yeah.
I'm working on right now. So the main property I bought for $48,000. That was the purchase price.
Okay.
Now there's a mortgage on it for $33,000. And then I told the seller that I would give her $15,000.
Okay.
But I don't want to come out of pocket $15,000 right
Right.
out the gate.
Right.
Get go.
Yeah.
And so this sub 2, the 33 is pretty good, but I wanted to take some of this $15,000, some of the cash now, and some of the cash later.
Okay.
We call it some now, some later.
Yep.
And so I gave her of the 15, $3,000 up front as a down payment,
Yeah.
Yep.
and then monthly payments of $226 until paid.
Got it.
And so I don't know what that.
You
Like
seller
full-
finance, you're down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So good.
So it's kind of like maybe a 4-year note or
Yeah,
5-year. I don't know how
something
many
like that.
months that is, but she'll get $226. And the great thing about this is there's no interest.
Yeah.
0% interest.
And
It's
so
unreal.
I got financing through the bank at 33
Yeah.
and financing for 12 through her.
Yeah.
And then even I borrowed the 3 that I gave her. I have
Yeah.
no money into the deal.
Right.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah. So my monthly payments out are $547
Total.
$547
So
total.
the
going-
mortgage, the existing
And-
mortgage,
and
and
the
the
note.
seller finance
Yeah.
is
Correct.
okay.
Yep, they're about $220 each.
Yeah.
Got it.
So about
Yeah.
$547 is my total out-of-pocket expense, and then I'm paying the servicer because I don't want to have to make that.
No,
Right.
not at all. No.
Paying the servicer $18.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it ends up being like I don't know how to do math very well. $560.
Something
or
like
so.
that.
Something
Sounds
around there.
good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yep.
So about $560 is going out, and then I'm going to owner finance out of the property. Remember, my purchase price is $47. Let's just call it $50,
Yeah.
and I'm going to owner finance it. It's worth about $110 in existing condition.
Okay.
So $110, and then I expect 10% down.
Yep.
Got
So let's
it.
say just less than 10% is $10,000.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So now they're going to owe it $10,000 come to me. So remember, how much am I out of pocket?
Well, 0, but 3.
Three.
Yep. 3
Yep.
up front. And because I borrowed the money.
Yep.
Yeah.
So at that point, I get 10 in, and I pay off that 3,
Three.
keeping 7
Seven.
for
Keep
myself.
7.
Yep.
Yep.
And then I'm owed $100,000.
Yep.
And I owe $47,000.
Right.
So the equity is $53,000.
Right.
So we'll get to the equity later. My now money is $7,000 that I get to keep. Then the monthly spread going out is
560.
560.
and then coming in will be I would need to pull up my financial calculator. It rounds to 900. I think it's
Yeah.
878 or
Something like
879
that.
or something
Okay.
like that. So we're doing like a 10.99% interest rate,
Okay.
and then it's probably not going to be a 30-year amortization. It
yeah.
might be a 20. If I can get huge monthly payments, I'll do a 20-year am.
Yeah, big
Potentially
time.
even 25.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
These are like non-conventional things. We think
Yeah.
that all loans are 30 years. No,
They're not.
You can do a 22-year am
Yeah.
if you want.
Yes,
You know, like
yes.
17.5.
I mean, they even have conventional 40-year
yeah,
Yeah.
loans.
loan mods.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what I plan on doing. And so at that point, I'm out 560 and in 870. The difference is 310.
Like 3 something. Yeah.
So 310 is my money coming in
Yeah.
for now. But in a couple of years, I'm going to pay her off.
Yeah.
So then that 226 is going to be added to the 310 that I have coming in.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when I pay off her mortgage, which it only has a couple of years left on it,
Mm-hmm.
when I pay that off, now I'm cash flowing the full
8 something.
amount
Yeah.
Right.
coming into me, right?
Right.
And so, anyway, cash flow of $300. Now, a traditional note will cash flow around 500.
Right.
That's way better than a traditional door, meaning rentals,
Yeah.
at like 200.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And with a rental, who fixes the toilet if it leaks, or the roof if it leaks?
The landlord.
Landlord
The
does.
landlord.
Yep.
But do you call your bank if you have a leak in your roof?
Nope.
Nope.
I'm just the lender.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's their house. They can do anything they want to it.
Yeah.
They could burn it down for all I care.
Yeah.
The insurance will pay me off. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's their house. They can change it. They can pop the top. They can tear down walls.
Do
They can
whatever.
repaint it. They're not a tenant. They're not a lease option. They're not a lease to own or rent to own rather.
Yeah.
They own it. The house is in their name. It's their property.
Mm-hmm.
And the great thing about that is I have no liability. My liability coming from renting, my risk, let's call it risk, is way down.
Yeah.
Right.
But $300 up front and then $500 and then $800, my reward is greater.
very-
Right.
Lower the
right.
risk, increase the reward.
Yep.
That's how I prefer that.
Yeah.
And so now money, 7,000. Monthly money, 300, then 500, then 800.
Right.
And then future money, is remember that equity spread.
Yeah.
53 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, 53 now. But the thing is her interest rate on the underlying is
Was-
2%.
Nice.
And then my
Dude, yours-
money to her for the 12,000 is 0%. So
Right.
a blended average would be like 1.7 something.
Yep.
percent.
Okay.
And then I'm owner financing out
10.
at 10.99.
Yeah.
And she's like so far down the loan. So if you're to look at an amortization
Yeah.
chart,
You're
she's
all principal.
Just
already.
principal.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's
where
paying
this
principal.
person
All
is
interest.
nothing but interest.
All interest.
And so that $53,000 in equity
Turns
will
into-
drastically
Oh.
increase
Increase.
the first 7 years.
Dramatically.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
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 And so that's
But
what we're
how
doing.
does it help that and the buyer?
Great. So these people typically are, 100% of the time they're unfinanceable,
Mm-hmm.
but they believe that the only option for them is to rent.
Mm-hmm.
They've tried to get conventional. I don't know if you guys know the stats right now.
Yeah.
But depending on who you go to, 70 to 80%
Yeah,
of people
are
right now,
denied.
February 25th, are denied for conventional financing.
Right.
70 to 80%
Isn't that
of
so
the
That's
entire
crazy.
sad?
Yeah.
So sad.
and it's only going to get stricter if the
Yeah.
market goes down.
Right.
And so this is an amazing opportunity. And so like drop me in 100 Walmarts across the nation and I'll go up to one person. Can you explain loosely, just vaguely, what owner financing is? None of them.
Nobody knows.
Maybe one person.
Yeah.
But I
If
go up
that.
to 100 people in different Walmart, one person in each Walmart. Can you vaguely explain renting to me?
Yeah. Everybody
100%.
everybody
Everyone
knows.
what renting
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
And so getting them into the property, thinking that they're going to be a renter, and then saying, hey, we were initially thinking about, I own the property, I can do whatever I want to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were initially going to rent this property, but we've been thinking about owner finance, selling it with owner financing. Is there any reason that you're looking to rent in particular? And they're going to say things like, well, I don't have good
I can't
credit.
afford
Right.
it.
Right.
And so we'll overcome these objections. I don't want to deal with the maintenance. I'm not, settling down here or whatever. We have objections. We overcome those objections. And then at the end of the day, the question is, well, if we can make the numbers work out, could you see yourself owning this house and it being yours?
Right.
and we convert that renter into a buyer.
Yeah.
And offering the opportunity of home ownership to somebody who didn't even know that it was possible.
Pride of ownership, man.
Yep.
And then that real estate and pride of ownership and owning your home literally can change someone's entire avenue of
path.
life.
Yeah.
It's 10.9%, or even like some of the notes that we do, 7.99%. That's a high interest rate.
Right.
However, what's the interest rate on renting?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what they were going to do anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
It's 100%.
100%. Yeah, because you don't. Yeah, it's 100%.
That's so true.
That's what they were going to do. And they're
Right.
like, man, Keith, can you give me a break? 7.99%. Fool, you came into the house going to pay 100%.
yeah.
Now you're going to be building equity. You
Yeah.
own this asset. You get to
Right.
ride the appreciation.
Yeah.
You can change whatever you want. Like
Right.
there's so many good things
So
about
many
it.
benefits.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And that is the power of reps.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I feel like a lot of people would think that those people aren't qualified for a reason. So what do you tell those people that are kind of naysayers on that end? Because I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that don't get qualified but have all the means in the world
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
tons.
to make those payments.
So my qualification is, do you have cash and cash reserves? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I'll look into your job. By law, for me to go with
Yeah.
Fannie and Freddie, I have to pull their credit and make sure that I'm going through a
Yeah. You
loan
can't
origination
be
officer.
predatory. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we go through an RMLO, we
Yeah.
dot all of our I's and cross our T's. And so we do underwrite them. However, at the end of the day, I don't discriminate based off of their credit score. I don't discriminate based off their job volatility. But banks do.
Yeah.
Right.
And so if you're coming to me, I won't sell the house for less than $10,000 for the down payment.
Got it.
But somebody could come to me and say, Keith, I have $30,000 down. I'm a business owner. I have inconsistent income. And so I've never been able to get conventional financing. That's exactly who I want to sell
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
to. Or I have a BK on my a bankruptcy
Yeah,
on my
yeah,
record
yeah.
5 years ago. I was going through crap.
A lot
and
of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got divorced and
Yeah.
she, like whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
She wrecked my credit
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and everything. Nobody was paying the bills. And so, but that's 5 years ago. Well, what does your job look like
Now.
Show me the last 2 months of payments. Show me your bank statements.
Yep.
Yeah.
Show me how much you have in cash and cash reserves. And that's what I care. What is present day?
Yeah.
I don't care what happened 5
years ago.
My life was different 1 year ago, much
Dude.
less
Oh
5.
my gosh, right?
Yeah.
Your life
Think
could
about
change.
what was different 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh. I know.
It's crazy,
It
right?
is crazy. I mean, it's the power of being, you are in a position to truly help somebody and change their life.
It will change the trajectory of their entire family.
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's so
possibly
cool.
generations to come.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's so powerful.
Yeah, super powerful strategy.
I mean, we're technically not bank financeable as entrepreneurs.
Absolutely
And, you know what
not.
I mean?
No,
the system
none.
isn't set up for us.
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, it's
I only
wild.
put you on a W-2 recently.
Yeah. And you're going on it next year.
Exactly, you know?
I just started.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? To be able to be more bank financeable,
Yep,
but
exactly.
can we pay our mortgage? Hell yeah, you know. So
Yeah.
it's
And that's what that's actually part of my script is the whole credit worthiness. And I say, and I just admit, like, I don't have the greatest credit score, but can I make my monthly payment? Absolutely. And that's
Right.
all I care about. That's all I expect from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If you don't make your monthly payment, you're out.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make sure that you have enough money, are making enough money monthly. I'm not going to put you in a bad position
Right,
where I'm going
right.
to have to foreclose and evict you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
definitely not my intent. I make, like there's the 2.5%
Yeah,
rule.
yeah.
I like the three times.
Yeah.
You're making 3 times what your monthly payment is PI.
Yeah.
Right.
The taxes and insurance, I don't have anything to do with that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
PI, you need to be making 3 times that. And at that point, you're frankly,
pretty solid.
You're overqualified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm safe.
Totally.
You're safe. We're all happy.
We're good.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
win-win situation.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there needs to be more people willing to do raps, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like, be able to help a lot more people that way.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's our goal. It's a little harder here with our
Yes,
price
it
points.
is so much harder here.
But it is
Yeah.
our goal to kind of go in that direction and help the people closest to us.
Yep.
Because we see how ownership has changed the trajectory of our life, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah.
And you can start before you can just start.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing a bunch of raps. That's kind of the strategy you're focused on.
All over? Because you're talking about Maine, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
well, I think it goes into the next
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
So what does your team and business look like
Now.
right now?
Yeah. So right now, our team is pretty light. So I have two businesses. And one of them is 2 lead managers. So we do marketing. As leads come in, they handle the very first call. We call it the triage call. And then they only pass qualified sellers, qualified prospects to me. So they're the lead manager, qualifying people. And then I am everything else. I'm the acquisition manager. I raise the private money. I'm the one who manages the project, doing the dispo and all of that stuff. So it's them 2 and me. But in the other company that does all of the systems, the processes, the automation, the CRM, all of that stuff is me and my business partner, Brandon. And so even though he doesn't do a lot of the real estate stuff, because they're kind of vertically integrated, these 2 businesses, this one uses this one and this one uses this one, he is super in the weeds of like, hey, I've got this house that we're going to dispo. This is my flow chart. This is my system. Here's the mind map. This is the automation that I need to put in place. Poke holes in it. Like find what I'm missing.
Right.
And so I don't know if you could technically consider him in this one, but because he's in the software business, he's very
inadvertently
immersed.
Right. Makes sense.
Into this one.
So there's 4 of you.
Yeah, just 4 of us. You know, we used to have 17
Wow.
people, and the majority of them, 14 of them, were virtual assistants.
VAs.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a full marketing team. One person who just pulled lists, one person who just skip trace, one person who then takes all of the skip tracing and then re-skip traces through a different company. We had 3 different levels of skip tracing. If you can't find it through IDI, then because a lot of times it's difficult to find when it's under a LLC or under a corporation. Then you have all of the officers that you have to find.
Yeah.
What is that person called that you have to get in contact? The registered agent.
Right.
So then you have to skip trace the registered agent and go after them and ask them. So we had all these different levels, and that person was in charge of tier 2 and 3 of skip tracing. And then it gets pushed to the next person, and they're getting all these lists, putting it together, making deduplicating them. After they would dedupe, then they would stack the lists.
Yeah.
And then we would do unique value lists so that we would put them. It's kind of I won't bore you with the nitty-gritty details, but basically all of these lists were put in priority order, and then we would mark it from the top down.
Okay.
These people fell into 6 different lists. They inherited the property. They're out of state. They're behind on their payments. It's vacant. They didn't pay their taxes. They're over the age of 55, like all of these lists.
Yeah.
And then like that person, if you contact them, they'll darn near throw you the keys.
Give you the house.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so we would go in reverse.
We like those.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so we had all these virtual assistants and people who were just in charge of social media, all the Facebook posts and stuff like that. And we had this full team. But it was really expensive.
Yeah.
Even paying these people like very inexpensive wages.
It still
Right.
adds
When you have
up.
14 of them, that's several $1,000s a month just in overhead.
Easy.
Yeah.
And not even counting the list that you're pulling.
All the data,
Yeah.
the skip tracing.
Skip tracing.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we were just blowing through. Our spend was like, our bleed was like $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard.
And so I looked at Brandon and I'm like, dude, we cannot sustain this. We're not making enough money.
Yeah.
And so let's figure out anything that can be automated and should be automated needs to be automated, in my opinion. And so the delineation, the comma there was anything that can be automated. The predicate is and should be automated, because some of it, because I can build AI, a bot that qualifies people. But I believe that it shouldn't be. It should be a person.
Person
Human
qualifying.
interaction.
Okay.
Yes.
Building rapport, asking questions, because real estate's not a house business, it's a people business.
Yes.
100%.
And having a text message, I mean, it's cool. And I have a friend who does it. And, getting a text message and then saying, choose one of these 2, mortgage or free and clear. And then it just takes you down this massive decision tree where there's like 1,800 variables. We could do that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
being done.
Yeah.
And people are going to have success with it.
Yeah.
All the more power to them. I believe that part should be
Person.
human interaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything that can be automated and should be automated needs to be automated. And so for just over a year, we just looked at what all of these people are doing, and let's figure out a way, instead of outsourcing it, because that's good as a business owner. You can't be doing everything. You
No.
cannot
Right.
wear every single hat. There's
Right.
too
Burn
many.
out. You won't get anywhere.
And so we chose to outsource it, where we should have automated it. If
Got
a
it.
computer can do it, it's not only much cheaper
Yeah.
because it's just an electric bill.
It's more efficient sometimes too.
Yeah, and there's no human error.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always going to get done. You cannot mess up code.
No.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, well, I mean, you can mess up code, but as long as you fix all the bugs,
Yeah.
it turns into a perpetual process where you
Right.
just run it faster. You
Yeah.
put in $1 and it shoots out 125. Put in
Right.
$1, shoots out 125.
Right.
Great. How fast can we do that? A human would get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You cannot work 14 hours a day for a year.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But a computer can work 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Efficiently. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it took a little over a year to write out what these people were doing when we outsourced the tasks and turn it into automation. So like there's no follow-up manager. You should never have a dedicated person for just following up with your leads. In my opinion, that's my business model.
Right,
That's my
right, right.
philosophy.
Yeah.
All of that can be automated and the seller will never know because it's you.
Yeah.
It's your voice sent through a ringless voicemail.
Right.
And so that's what we did all of 2020 was we started building out this CRM to automate in order to just like, we've got to stop spending so
Right.
much
Right.
money.
Right.
And so we went from this massive team with all of these business partners, all of these virtual assistants, and just really narrowed it down. So December of 2020, we got it all the way down to just me and Brandon, me doing the real estate and him doing the software.
Wow.
And it was a powerful, streamlined skeleton version of what I wanted. But we got it down to where it seemed like I was wearing all the hats, but I'm not. The computer is wearing 4 of them. You know?
Right. Right. Right.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So you guys were doing a bunch of like outbound marketing
Yeah.
during that time,
Yep.
right? So I know like organically through that process, it kind of led your marketing in a different direction. Is that
Yes.
true?
Yeah.
So what does that look like right now?
So in 2016, when I got started in real estate, all the way through May of 2020, we were doing outbound marketing. And then May of 2020, so think about March, COVID happens and things are starting to change. And so I looked at where I was and I was like, wow, I have less than $100 in my checking account. And I have 200 and something $1,000 on credit cards. At the time, I'm still in the Marine Corps. If they knew, oh my goodness, I would have been in so much trouble.
Yeah. No way.
So we have about $250,000 on credit cards, and all of those credit cards are not in their introductory.
Yeah.
right. So
Right.
you're
They're all
High
they were
monthly-
all at like 21 to 24%. And frankly, I didn't have enough money to even make the minimum monthly payment on these credit cards.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I'm broke.
Yeah.
And I've leveraged all of my credit. Look at the business checking account. We're in the negatives. And my partner, Brandon, doesn't have any money, and he's leveraged all of his credit cards too.
Okay.
So
That's entrepreneurship, people.
So not a good position.
no, and so I look at my situation, and at the time I was, I can't say I cannot say I'm currently fiscally responsible. However, I'm a way better business owner than I was then. At the time,
Right.
I was clueless. I was
Yeah.
not looking over my numbers. I didn't know what a P&L was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I look at this, and I go to my mentor, and I said, you are, in different words, a big fat liar that is blowing smoke up people's rear.
Right.
This is a facade.
Yeah.
Or you're going to dig into my business and tell me what my freaking problem.
What's
Yeah.
wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he did. He's, let's look at your numbers. And so I didn't know my numbers because I wasn't really tracking my KPIs. I knew I had some of my KPIs up to that point, but it was all in like a Google sheet. It wasn't like I could pull a report and say, oh, looking at the last 30 days or my rolling 60 or rolling 90 days.
Right,
I
right.
couldn't come up with that.
Okay.
And so he's like, come up with these facts and figures and let's schedule a call for tomorrow. And then I came back and looking at all this data, he delineated, okay, your cost per acquisition is $11,600
Wow.
of outbound marketing
Yeah.
in order to get a deal in Hawaii. Mind you, at this time, I was only doing deals in Hawaii.
Right.
Well, other islands and stuff, but the whole
Yeah.
state of Hawaii, all the
Yep.
islands.
Yep.
$11,600. That's, and I was getting really inconsistent deals.
Yeah.
And I wanted consistent deals with way less.
Spend.
I was out of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so fortunately, it was a huge blessing that COVID happened
Yeah.
because I got an EIDL loan for 25 grand. And so I used that 25 grand and like some of it, don't tell the IRS, this is recorded, but
Yeah.
maybe some of it went to other things.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
My sustenance.
It was all things needed
Yeah.
for business.
I would die if I didn't use it.
Right.
I wouldn't have a roof and I wouldn't have food.
Yeah.
And so, but the rest of it needed to go into marketing. And so I went to him and I said, listen, I need a scalable model of marketing that drops my cost per acquisition from $11,600 to like, I can't fail.
Right.
And I'm not very good at this.
Yeah.
And there's a very high likelihood that I'm going to fail. So if you were in my situation, what would you do?
Yeah.
And he's like, first, get out of Hawaii. Second, do inbound marketing. Okay, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Right.
And so I didn't take the leap that month on switching to inbound marketing, but I did take the leap of going into a virtual market. So we went into San Antonio, and I was doing cold calling because I already had all the
things.
You had everything
systems.
built out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right.
already had the systems. It was pretty easy. To break into a market only cost us about $4,000. Every marketing included and everything like that.
Okay.
Which is really cheap. Typically, it would cost just north of $10,000 for somebody else to break into the market.
Right.
So it was about $4,000 in, and nearly immediately, contract. 1 week later, contract. Another week later, contract. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, this is wild.
Gosh, is this how
Yeah.
it's supposed to be?
So my cost per acquisition went from $11,600 to somewhere I sort of forget the number, but it was around like $2,400.
Okay.
And I was like, this is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I caught the bug.
Right,
I'm like,
right,
if I
right.
can go into one market and drop almost 5 times,
Yeah.
1/5 of where I am now,
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
I know.
And so I was like, Brad, how can I drop it even more?
Right.
Like I have 3 contracts, historically speaking, only one of them is going to go
Is going to
through.
close. Right. Right.
There's title issues. We don't have the great closing rate, whatever. At the time, I was not very good at this.
Yeah.
And so what can I do to make this even better? And he's like, well, the more markets you go into, the cheaper your cost per click goes, which means the cheaper your cost per lead is, which means the cheaper your cost per acquisition is.
Right.
And so I was like, great. So anyway, that was July of 2020. And we went into San Antonio, contract. I caught the bug, and I still had extra money. So we went from San Antonio to 33 markets. Just shows, in my opinion, the best 33 markets at the time. We went into there. My cost per acquisition went from like 24 to like just under 2,000. And I was like, all right, that's pretty good, but that's not good enough.
Right.
And so I went from 33 in August to September, went to 56. And cost per acquisition dropped to $1,800. Not nearly as much as I thought it was going to,
Okay.
but it was still working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were still getting
Still going down.
contracts,
Yeah.
Yep.
and they were consistent. And I was like, okay, I'm onto something
Yeah,
here. Like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is really cool. And so we went 33, 56, 120, 240, 330 markets. And I
crazy.
stayed at 330 markets up until January of this year, last month.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is I went from $11,600 cost per acquisition to just under $900 cost per
Wow.
acquisition. So I can buy a house for less than $1,000
Yeah, that's
in
crazy.
marketing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I always over borrow. I'm using
Yeah.
100% other people's money.
Right.
Yeah.
My EMD on every house I've ever bought is $1.
Yeah.
So I'm out $1,
Yeah.
and the rest of it is 100% finance.
Right.
Wow.
And then I get my dollar back when we close anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm essentially buying these houses for $1,000 of marketing expense. And then we have a little bit of overhead. But at that point, not very much because we have effectively gotten rid of all of the virtual assistants. All
Totally.
of it was
Yeah.
automated.
Yeah.
And so we ran this PPC model, which is what we're currently doing now
Mm-hmm.
for all this inbound marketing. And now we're at 330 markets. It was like 327 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
330 markets. Started in San Antonio, July, went to 33 in August, September, 56, 120, 2 months later. But effectively from December of 2020 until December of 2022, I ran 320 markets at $1,000 a month which is ludicrously low.
Yeah.
Everybody will tell you it's not possible.
Yeah.
I fed my family and other people's
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
only spending $1,000
Yeah.
in marketing. Kind of like what is the guy who broke the 4-minute mile? Do you know his name?
I don't. I know exactly who you're talking about. I don't know his name.
So up to that point, people have spent decades in everywhere around the world trying to run a sub 4-minute mile. And then as soon as this guy runs a 4-minute mile, if you look over the next 12 months, somebody's going to Google this and find that I'm like 5 off. But
a bunch of people.
like 86 people ran sub 4. Why?
Yeah.
The glass ceiling
Yeah.
was gone. It
Yeah.
was no
Right.
longer humanly impossible.
Yeah.
Right.
This guy did it, and if he can do it, so can I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's my goal. Like, I want to be the sub 4,
Yeah.
the first person. You don't have to have a massive marketing budget. You can go virtually. And I would venture to say it's even better to do it that way because you can't go to the property. You can't rely on yourself. You can't
Yeah.
rely on your connections to do it for you. And so it forces
Strict
good
data.
business practices.
Right.
It forces you to write out an SOP because you can't use the same title company. You can't use the same contractor. You can't use the same realtor. You can't use the same guy to change the locks or take the pictures or put out the signs. It's all different people.
Yeah.
And so it forces you to write down all of these things, streamline it, prioritize everything, make sure that it's a clear-cut, efficient SOP.
Right.
And then every time you do it, whether I buy a house in Detroit or Cleveland or
Maine.
Louisiana,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's the same exact process. And we're still refining the process.
Yeah.
But it's basically the same thing.
Can you imagine if people were like, electricity is impossible, you can't do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were getting that
Absolutely.
when they were creating.
Yeah.
So
So that's where we are now.
Nice.
it's super inspiring for a lot of people and for us.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
So with this model, how many deals did you guys do last year?
We only did. Oh, and I really appreciate when you primed this question to me. It wasn't just the deal count, because frankly, that's a incomplete question.
I
Totally.
agree.
100%.
100%.
I want to do as least deals as I can and make the most amount
Of money as you
money.
can.
Same.
Just like the risk and reward. I want to do the least work and
Yep.
make the most money possible.
It's about
100%.
quality, not
It's
quantity.
always quality. And I see this all the time, and people they'll say, they're like, yeah, I'm doing 100 flips a year. And I'm like, my first question is,
How much are you
what
making?
are you making
Oh.
per deal? Like,
and how soon are you going to pull the plug? I would commit.
Right.
I would,
And are you
Right.
going to have a
Yeah.
heart attack? 'Cause
I know.
My
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no desire to do
The-
that.
yeah, so there's definitely context to
Yeah.
this question.
Yeah.
And I always feel like it is missing sometimes because the industry in itself praises.
doesn't
Yeah.
care.
No,
How
they
many
praise
deals?
Yeah.
quantity,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So,
So people ask me this all the time, and I'm like, okay, I'll answer your question. It makes me feel embarrassed
But
in the
don't
beginning.
let it. Yeah.
in the beginning, but it's because Tony Robbins has a quote that goes somewhat like, "Ask better questions, and you'll get better, answers." you
Yeah.
know?
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I did 6 deals last year,
Yep.
and a lot of people are like, "Well, Keith, that kind of sucks. Like, you're a noob." You know what? You're right.
Yeah. Thank you.
I still am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I probably will be for the next decade.
Right,
100%.
The more I learn, the more I realize I don't freaking
No,
No.
right.
Yeah.
I know, we're the same way.
So anyway, I wrote down,
totally.
I came prepared, and I wrote down my average deal size is $51,537.
That's
So who
crazy.
gives a F if
Right?
you only did 6?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's pulling from 2021, average deal size just for 2021.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had just gotten out of the Marine Corps. I got out of the Marine Corps December of 2020. So I'm like trying to figure out how to adult.
Yeah.
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 Right?
Yeah.
I've never had to do this thing by myself. And I did the stupidest thing possible, leaving the most secure job that's in existence
Yeah.
to go out on my own
So true.
with the no income promise.
Right.
And so that was so freaking stressful. But anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm learning how to adult. The Marine Corps definitely, they take care of people by enabling you, by babying you. You don't have to make any decisions
Yeah.
yourself. You
Told where to go, what to
Exactly.
do, what to wear.
don't, what to wear, what
Yeah.
time to show up.
How to
you know, like-
dress.
Yes.
All of
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so going from 100% structure
Yeah.
to 100% chaos, admittedly, it took me like 3 months
Yeah.
to just figure out when I want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to getting out of bed with a number that starts with a 4. That sucks. I don't know how many times you've seen 4 a.m., but he's not a very nice person to wake up to for 8 years. You know,
Right.
No, thank you. I'm a 7.
Yeah.
You're 8.
I'm a 7. He's lying.
The alarm clock goes off with 7, but she gets out of bed at 8.
Right. 18 snoozes later.
Maybe on Sundays. Edit that from the.
So I was like trying to figure my life out, and I was like going to bed really late, waking up really late, eating a bunch of stuff that I shouldn't be
You're like,
eating.
YOLO.
I was like, man, you forced me to work out every day for the last 8 years. I'm
not working out.
I won't even move from my chair.
Revolt. That's so good.
And so I was figuring my life out, and at the same time, we're building this software company. And so I was like, I need to make enough money for me and Brandon to live and our families,
Right.
Yeah.
but not to stress myself out.
Yeah.
If you look at the word disease, dis-ease,
Yeah.
it's when you're in a state of unease
Yeah.
where you start to corrode your body, if you will. And that's the last thing that I want. I want able body, able mind. I need to be able to make quick decisions because my decisions impact a lot of other freaking people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so I need to be taking care of myself by not going balls to the wall, flooring that company while I'm building my own company, while I'm building myself, figuring out who I am outside of the Marine Corps. My identity is gone.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said
Totally.
with that.
Yeah.
And 6 deals doesn't sound like a lot. $51,000 doesn't sound like a lot. You know what? That's all I wanted. That's all I needed. That's all I expected, going back to it, because I'm focused on other things.
Yeah.
Totally.
Dude,
So
that's
that's
more than people don't even make that in a year.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did it 6 times. So
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's also a lot to be said by what your expectations are first,
Yep.
but also like what you want your lifestyle to look like.
Clarity on your goals.
Clarity on your
what
goal.
your days look like.
Exactly.
It's quality of life. You're building a life by design.
By design. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I was a little bit too much on the design. Let me just go to the beach. I'm gonna sleep in, sip my coffee on the lanai.
Yeah.
I swung too far last year, and my business suffered because of it in other areas because I wasn't being proactive. I wasn't being a responsible business owner. But I got to, it's kind of like the analysis paralysis. I really, really believe that massive imperfect action is going to be better 100% of the time than inaction.
Agreed.
Because
Yep.
when you're in action, you're all in your head.
Yeah.
But when you take action, life gives you feedback, and it's either good feedback or bad feedback. If it's bad feedback, adjust.
Pivot, yep.
Yeah.
Shoot, I shouldn't have jumped left. Let me take a step back.
Yeah.
Let me jump right. Let me whatever. And so taking action, that's exactly what we were doing. Taking massive imperfect action. We failed so many times, but I love failing. It makes me a better person.
Yeah, you grow.
Learn from it, grow from it.
Yeah.
That's where the character is built.
Yeah.
It's not on the highs, it's on the lows.
Yeah. Exactly. I really
Dude, well,
agree.
we're so stoked to see what you do this year.
Yeah,
I know.
so am I.
Definitely. So let me ask you this. So far in your journey, what has been the biggest triumph and the biggest
struggle.
challenge that you've had to
Yeah.
overcome?
Yeah, so the biggest triumph comes from solving the biggest struggle. So the biggest
Nice.
struggle for me was as I mentioned earlier, Marine Corps is not a 9 to 5. You're immersed in this. Your life is the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps owns you. It was my first wife, if you will.
Yeah.
And when you're in there, so I live in Hawaii, which I'm investing all of last year in the mainland. And so I'm getting up at 4:00 in order to be at work at 6:00. I got to do my stuff, my routine. I'm reading a book, whatever. And so 4:00, if I'm going to make calls in the morning before, I would now need to wake up at 3:00. Well, I'm unwilling to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm willing to do that every now and then when I really need to.
Right.
But that's not consistent,
No.
at least for me.
Yeah.
I cannot be consistent with that. And then I'm getting home at the back end of the day around like 5, maybe 5:30. Well, shoot, it's 8:30
Yeah.
in
wherever.
California,
Yeah.
Right.
much less the East
East
Coast.
Coast,
It's
yeah.
10:30. Like, nobody's going to pick up their phone. And
Right.
if they do, I'm going to get cussed out.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
call
you're
me.
gonna get
Yeah.
yelled at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's not going to work. Can't do it at the front, can't do it at the back. So how do I do it while I'm in the Marine Corps? And I'm in positions of leadership. I'm in charge of Marines.
Yeah.
So I cannot be walking out all the time
Yeah.
on my phone, talking with the seller like I'm teaching a class, I'm presenting, I'm going through whatever, a bunch of stuff in the Marine Corps. You can't be doing that.
Yeah.
The only time that I could really do that without getting in trouble would be my lunchtime, my chow hour.
Okay.
So 11 to 12 is my time. I can do whatever I want. Well, so that's my biggest struggle in the Marine Corps was time.
Yeah.
I was geographically in a poor location,
Yeah.
and in my position in my job was not the most conducive to doing a business
Right.
Yeah.
on the side.
Right.
And so because of that, it forced me, hey, you have 1 hour. And in that hour, you need to be deadly effective.
Yeah.
Not just effective,
Ultra
actually,
productive.
but efficient as well.
Right.
That's the true definition of productivity is efficiency and effectiveness.
Mm-hmm.
If you have one, if my leads only cost $1, but it takes me 1,000 leads, they're ineffective,
Right.
Yeah.
but they're really cheap. I don't want to talk to 1,000 people.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
this is
care
it.
about the efficiency. And then like, what if I only talk to 3 people in order to get a deal, but those 3 people cost me $20,000 each?
Yeah.
It's incredibly effective, but horribly inefficient.
Yeah.
Right.
It
And
has
so it's
to
a
be a
blend
beautiful
of
blend.
both.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I said, I have this hour. Brandon, like, help me out.
Mm-hmm.
First, when I have this hour, I need to be doing a full day's worth of work. 8 hours needs
Right.
to be crammed into one. That's the definition of efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, I also need things prioritized. Because sometimes you're allotted an hour, but if a Marine comes to me saying, I'm having issues with my wife, like, can you talk to me? I respect you.
You got it. Yeah.
I'm gonna
That's
help.
more important.
Yeah.
Quality conversations, making
Yeah.
an impact in people's lives is more important to me than calling the seller.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I would take the time out. Sometimes you don't have the full hour. So whether I had an hour or whether I had 10 minutes, I need to know that what I'm working on is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So that's the number one core value in my business is keep the most important things the most important things.
Got it.
Priority order. And so I was like, Brandon, I need to be very efficient and I need to be very effective. I need this stuff to be in priority order. And so that's what we did. We worked on it for a year of getting that hour as productive. And I can show you metrics that
Yeah.
prove this. But in 1.1 hours on average, look at the last 7 days, the last 30 days, the last 90 days, the last year, I don't care.
Yeah.
It all comes down to 1.1 hours of me working equals 8 hours of another person working.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
that hour was nearly as effective as a full work day. Because, so that's my biggest struggle is the time.
Yep.
And the biggest triumph was building out this software. Was I could not survive.
Yeah.
I'm $250,000 in the hole. My business is insolvent, basically.
Right.
It's not worth anything.
Yeah.
I cannot fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had already made the decision. I was going to get promoted in the Marine Corps.
Oh.
And it was get promoted and stay in for 20
Right.
or get out.
Yeah.
And so I actually had to deny promotion in order to get out.
To bank on yourself.
And when you deny promotion, they make you sign a paper that says you can never come back in.
Oh wow.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was literally burn the bridges, burn the boats. Rather.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like-
Right.
Wow.
I'm committing. I'm going all in on myself here.
Yeah.
And I cannot F this up.
No.
Yeah.
And so this 1 hour needed to be perfect. It needed to be my ideal hour, if you will. People plan their days. I didn't have a day. I just had an hour.
Yeah.
And so, Brandon, let's build this. And at the time, we didn't know that we were building a separate software company. We were just solving a problem. We were just building our own company to make profit, make money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Right. And so we were doing it for ourselves first. But over time, people were seeing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm telling people I'm getting out of the Marine Corps. I have a business. My wife has a business. Seemingly like what we're doing is impossible. And I'm about to lose my very good W-2 secure safety net.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing this virtually from an island.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is not conducive to success.
The odds are not in your favor.
Yeah.
And so people were coming to me saying like, Keith, how are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
I show them our CRM, and they're like, Keith, I need this.
I want that too.
Yeah.
I don't care what it costs, just give me that. And at the time I was like, no way.
No.
Like, I have taken 2.5 years. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
about to go through 2.5 years for you.
Right.
Yeah.
There's not enough money in the world to
Yeah.
redo what I've done.
Totally.
Right.
But I had enough people come to me over maybe a 7 or 8 month period of time where I was like, there's a real
There's a
need
need.
for this in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
People are not as efficient and effective, and they have bad business models,
Right.
bad business practices.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And most people who get into real estate have never owned a business before.
Yeah.
No.
They don't know what a balance sheet is. They don't know
No.
what a P&L is.
They don't treat it like a business.
No, it's
Yeah.
a hobby. It's
Yeah.
a
Right.
really freaking expensive hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's a need for this in the marketplace. And after enough people came to me over and over and over and over, I was like, maybe this is something that we could do. Let's just like chase our option. Let's just
see.
review
Yeah.
what it would take in order to bring this to the marketplace.
Right.
So me and Brandon sat down, and that was kind of the birth of REI Automated.
Nice.
Was let's just look down and see if this is even an avenue that we want to do. Let's see if it's able to be done, and then do we want to do it? What does it look like?
Right.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know? And so that's what we did. And after people were coming to us, all of last year, we were solely focused on building this out. All of 2021, and then October, the beginning of Q4 of last year, October is when we were like, all right, this is not great, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
Like we can template this out. Everything has been templated, and it just hasn't been tested yet. So we need some beta testers who are willing to stick it through,
Yeah.
who have good business models, who have good business practices, who are seasoned, if you will, seasoned entrepreneurs, and are willing to help me grow my business.
Yeah.
Right.
Because as my business, and you're reliant on my business, REI Automated,
Yeah.
to help you in your business, this is going to be a perpetual. You feed me, I feed you. You feed me, I
Yeah.
feed you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we onboarded 6 different companies, all of Q4, to help me beta test. And all these people, different blends. Like some
Yeah.
people like hard visionaries, some of them hard integrators.
Yeah.
We have Google analysts who break Google. And I was like, God, I need this.
Yeah.
If you can break Google,
Yeah.
good
Break
Lord, you're
it.
going to
Yeah.
go ham on my product.
Which is good, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we brought in a great selection of 6 different companies, 6 different people. There's way more than 6 people, right? Their whole company is in.
Right.
And every week we would have a big meeting where they would all come, and then throughout the week have little meetings just privately with them. Give me your feedback. Give me your request. What bugs are you finding? What things are inefficient? What would you like to see? New cool features. What would be effective? You know, like
Yeah.
ask better questions, get better answers.
Right.
And so we took all of their feedback for Q4 and implemented every single one of them. Everyone got everything that they I mean, I'm only servicing 6 companies. I can do that.
You can
If
do
I-
that,
If I had
yeah.
100 people, then that's not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these people got everything that they wanted. And then Q1, January 6th, we had our soft launch. So now like we're turning this into a real business.
Yeah.
October was the inception when we made the business legit. After testing the marketplace of all these people bugging me,
Right.
2021,
Yeah.
we went out on a limb. What is it called when you make a business?
Incorporate.
Incorporated.
Incorporate,
We incorporated
right.
the business in October, and then January 6th was our soft launch. We went from 6 companies to today we have 44 from the people that
Crazy, yeah.
just in the last like 2 months,
Yeah.
not even.
Yeah.
Dude, congratulations.
Yeah, it's so
Thank
cool.
you. So that's by far my biggest win. Like at this point, it's not about the money. Like I'm able to make the impact. Remember the quadrant that I was talking about?
Yeah.
Right.
Zone of excellence is what I've been operating in. Now zone of genius is what
Genius.
I'm currently operating
Yeah.
in. If there's anything that I'm good at, it's building systems, streamlining those systems, and then automating those systems.
Yeah. And that's an understatement.
So are you for hire in that arena?
I know.
You are?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I'm going to hire you.
Seriously? Yeah, we need a
'cause
good hard
I'm not
look.
good at that. I just want to give it to you.
We're
Yeah.
not good at that either.
No.
That is like
But-
that's what I have a passion for. That's what I'm
Dude.
inherently good at.
Yeah. And isn't that the best when you find
Yes.
something that you're passionate about
Yes.
that you actually
Dude,
love
but
doing?
if you told me a year ago that I would be in a software
Yeah,
company,
you would. No
you're
way.
high out of your mind.
Yeah, no way.
Isn't
That's
it
so
funny when you
crazy.
think
No.
that you have your own plans and then God's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah. Guess what? Actually,
Yeah.
but it's something that you can impact people.
Yep.
Totally.
Right.
Yep.
So you're super passionate about it, but it also like meets your goals of being able to impact and
Yes.
help
Yep.
and lift up So it's
Yeah.
like the best of both worlds. It's so cool.
And it's an opportunity. So my mission statement for like my personal life, my life mission statement is to have a positive impact on people that leads them closer to God.
Yeah.
Right? So if they come to me, and I was telling you about this before the podcast, they come to me and say, I'm having issues in my business. Okay, great. Let's dig into your business. And your business, as I'm helping you build good business practices, now I'm also going to encourage you with good life practices.
Right.
And it leads into
It's a ripple
perfect
effect.
funnel
Yeah. To
straight
God.
straight into this.
Yeah.
Like we need to take care of your, I forget what it's called, Pavlov's hierarchy of needs.
Yep. Yep.
Right. And you got to take care of your body. You have to have
basics.
shelter, food, water, oxygen,
Yep.
stuff like that.
Right.
And then
To be at the top.
self-actualization would be the
Yeah.
very top, but you can't do that
Unless all this is
Without
this being
everything.
taken care of.
Right.
So let me
Right.
help you with this.
Yeah.
We'll get to this as we go.
Totally.
love that
Yeah.
so much. But I'm
That's so
serious
cool.
about hiring you.
Yeah, I know. We have to talk
Systems.
offline.
Yeah.
But that's super cool. So that is growing a young budding business. You guys are taking off. That's
Yeah.
so cool. So that's another thing we have to follow you, how
Okay.
that goes
Cool.
this next year.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. We're almost wrapping it up.
Yeah.
So if you could go back to the beginning, what's one thing that you would do differently, if there is anything?
There is one thing, and people talk about, the difference between looking in the future, when you're future facing, the words that come to mind, or the feelings rather, is typically fear, anxiety, stress, worry, concern, right? And looking at the past, words or feelings that come to mind would be synonyms to guilt. Like I
Yeah,
wish that I
regret.
regret.
Yeah.
So looking at the past, I don't have guilt or regret. However, reflecting on, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old me,
Yeah.
I didn't know any better.
Right.
I
Yeah.
came from nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And nothing's changed.
Yeah.
It took me 8 years to go back to my hometown. And just last year, I went back, and everything is the same. Everybody is the same.
Yeah.
Same houses, same jobs, same cars, same everything. They just look a little bit older, and some people died.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I look at myself literally 1 year ago, and I'm unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not just the beard.
Yeah.
And so looking back, in reflection rather than regret, I thought that I was taking huge action, and I really, really wasn't. And it all goes back to being, in my opinion, being really clear on what you want.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I love goal setting, and I've been writing down my goals the past 5 years. Prior to that, I would say that I was goal setting,
Yeah.
and I wasn't.
Same.
Right.
The past 5 years, I've been writing down my goals, and it's only really been the last 2 years that I've gotten good at achieving my goals,
Yeah.
Right.
or at least getting really close to these crazy, hairy,
Yeah.
audacious goals
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that we set.
Big enough.
Maybe
Yeah.
I didn't hit the mark, but I got pretty darn
Pretty
close,
close,
and I
yeah.
have grown a lot as a person.
Right,
so I'm good
right.
with it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's what it comes down to, is that at the time, I thought I was taking massive action, but I wasn't. Why? Because my goals were not clear. I did not have clarity on what I wanted. As I mentioned earlier, you don't get out of life what you want, you get out of life what you expect. And you can only expect huge things if you're doing huge things, and
Right.
you can only do reverse engineering. You can only do huge things if you know what you want.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so planning out your day, working on keeping the most important things, the most important
Yeah.
things, every single moment in your day needs to be prioritized.
Yeah.
I was not doing that.
Crazy.
I can relate in so many ways. So many ways. We weren't goal setting, and then the biggest thing that I think has left an impact on my life was when we started goal setting and started peeling back those layers.
Yeah.
And then somebody telling me blatantly, it was Steve Rosenberg specifically, he's like, that's nonsense. That is not big enough. Erase it and write it again. And if
Yep.
it doesn't make you scared or nervous to say it out loud,
Or
then it's
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
it's not big enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what you focus on, it expands.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another one
That
of my
has-
favorite quotes.
That has changed my life. Yeah,
Yep.
that book has changed my life by T. Harv Eker. Yeah.
Yep. So T. Harv Eker, speaking of that, I'll put in a plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for
My
it.
life mentor,
Okay.
his name is Rock Thomas.
Mhm.
And
His name is Rock. That's cool.
Rock Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he would T. Harv Eker is the one who he grew up under.
Oh, wow.
Like following, that was his personal mentor. His life
Oh,
mentor
no
was
way.
T. Harv Eker.
Wow.
Okay.
So like Millionaire Habit. What is T. Harv Eker's? the name of-
Secrets
Secrets of a Millionaire
Secret-
Mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Millionaire Mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, one of the best books I've ever read. I
Same.
love it.
I read
Yeah.
it every year. I have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
even lying for this podcast. I'll take a picture. It's next to my bed.
Yeah.
I read it as I go to sleep because
Yeah.
the chapters are so those little blurbs.
Yes.
Right.
It's just a couple pages.
But
You
they're
read a couple
life-changing.
pages every
Yeah.
night. Meditate on those things
Yes.
as you fall asleep, and you will wake up a different person.
Totally.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
See, I
totally.
only have the Audible. I need to get the physical.
you gotta get the-
Actual book.
Yeah.
And it's quite literally 2 to 4 pages every single
I
little
can
section.
do that.
Yeah, I'm a sleepy reader. Like reading.
Oh,
puts
yeah.
me in a great engaging book. I'm
Yeah.
like,
But it's
crash.
true because whatever's going on at night in that subconscious mind, man, will transform.
and it's typically worry, concern, anxiety.
Oh,
on the
yeah.
Normally, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
You read this.
Put that in
your
there.
Mind right.
Right.
That's a great habit. Both me and
Oh my
Miranda
gosh,
do
I
it.
have chicken skin.
That's a
Woo!
tip right there. I'm
yeah.
telling you.
Yeah. Tip.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I have like 4 books next to my bed. And
Okay.
Just cycle through them.
Oh, that's
Okay.
awesome.
Love
Okay,
that.
we got to start doing that.
I know. We got to turn off Netflix.
I know.
There's no TV in
No
our bedroom.
TV.
No
No TV
way.
in the bedroom.
Digital
I know.
sunset. Sun goes down. Off.
I
There
just
you
heard
go.
about that. Yeah, following the sun's natural
Yep.
helps you sleep better too.
Yep.
You have no problem sleeping.
Dude, I love sleep.
Oof,
Yeah.
I have the hardest time.
You'll
Going to
just-
sleep?
My
Yeah.
mind just
Yeah.
goes. I'm like, I'm in this weird, like half conscious, half unconscious. My brain just won't shut off. I'm like,
Yeah.
acquisitions, dispositions.
Yeah.
What's the worst way?
That's so good.
Yeah.
All right. So the last question to wrap this all up is what impact do you hope to leave with the audience?
Success is inevitable as long as you do not quit.
Love that.
And it's that simple.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it
cool.
really is. We're the only ones that complicate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That and people just give up right before
Yeah.
that change is going to happen or that that shift is going to happen too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So many times I've been at what I thought was my end.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided to push through it. I
yeah.
felt, doing like a root word study on the word enthusiasm. Entheos means God within, or inspire. We live in our physical body so much, but when we're inspired, we're living in spirit, or desire of the Father. When we have a desire placed on our heart and we feel inspired to follow it, and we're enthusiastic about it, that's when you're at your end and you feel a calling to continue. Do not deny
yeah.
Yeah.
that calling.
Yeah.
You would be
Yeah.
doing a disservice to yourself, your
And
future
others.
self, your
Yeah.
family, everything.
Right.
You'll get to your end, and as long as you do not quit, you will succeed. It is inevitable.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, because it's never gonna be easy.
Absolutely. And you don't want it to be easy.
Yeah, you don't want it to
Growth
be easy.
is in pain equals growth.
Yes.
When you're
Right.
uncomfortable, you're outside of your, by definition, your comfort zone. You're outside of it, and you're expanding your comfort zone. Then step outside of it, expand. When that becomes comfortable, continue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Right.
What you
Uncomfortability.
focus on expands, and as you focus on yourself,
Yeah.
you will expand.
And
Yeah,
the
I love that.
problems get smaller.
As you level up, you're a level 4 player,
Right.
and that level 2
Level
or
2
3
problems doesn't mean
Whatever.
anything.
Yeah.
and then somebody sues you, and you're like, "Crap! I got to become a better person." Like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
level 7 problem needs to be smaller than me, so you grow as a person. You
Yeah.
level up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
So
that
good.
so much.
Yeah.
Where
Nice.
can people find
Yeah,
you?
where can people
Do you
find you? I
want
know
to be
you're not
found?
I know you're not a social media man, so
If you want to find me, Facebook is pretty much the only way. My email address is too long. Find me on Facebook.
there you go.
Yeah,
What's
Perfect.
your just your name?
Keith Gillispie.
Do you guys have anything set up for REI Automated, like
Yeah.
website
Yeah,
or
we have a website,
Okay.
www.reiautomated.io,
Okay.
not .com.
dot
Oh.
I
than that.
oh
Yeah.
now you're at IO at the end of your that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that's a
Yeah.
good place to find you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Right on.
you have a gift. You exude it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I
Thank you.
appreciate you for coming and sharing it with
Absolutely.
us.
Yeah,
I'm
so
honored to have you.
stoked to have you on
Thank
and
you.
yeah, well I mean, I feel like over the last like year and a half, we've both watched each other and our growth, and it's
And
been
it's just
inspiring.
the
Like
beginning.
honestly,
taken off.
honestly inspiring. But yeah, thank you so much for jumping on, and
Definitely.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
right
Appreciate
on,
the
man.
opportunity.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah, man.
Like you thought I would. It's all good. Get paid, get paid, get paid. Blow up like